Hello everybody, my name is Yelter Gutierrez, and I'll be giving my persuasive speech on low-performing schools today. And I have three of my friends here with me today, Carlos, Reese, and Sam.
Hi, my name is Sam.
That's Luis. And this is Carlos.
Okay, well today education is very important. It's a very important factor that that benefits everybody in the world, children, all the way from kindergarten to high school and college, and it's just very important, public education. And I'm gonna start my speech. Okay, for example, let's say Anita. Anita is a little girl who lives in poverty. Her neighborhood is one of the worst places in the city and only has one public school. That school is in the process of closing due to poor academics, and she's being forced to attend another school that is miles away. But what can she do? Like many American children, like many of her, just like her, many American children are unfortunate and have limited education. Their only hope is being helped by their local schools. But society often gives up on these low-performing schools, so they're often shut down. Here's my PowerPoint that I did. That picture symbolizes a girl from the video Superman. It's a documentary. I'm not quite sure if you can see that. And instead society focuses on useless things, like, for example, building prison cells. According to the film The Lottery, $37,000 are being spent building prison cells on a yearly basis, while only $13,000 are being spent in education-wise. Poor performing schools should not be shut down because they can be helped. We can always find a solution to help these schools. The problem is that society wants to get rid of these schools just because they're low performing. But like I said, we can always help them and come up with solutions. First, I'm going to tell you that many students shouldn't pay the price for the failure of their schools and their community. Then, I'm going to tell you that more money should be invested on these schools. Lastly, I'm going to inform you that closing the schools will only affect other successful schools. It is for all these reasons that low-performing schools should not be shut down. The most important point I want to make is that students are our future, and that those that want to learn should not pay the price for the negative factors that surround them. These factors may include neighborhoods, poverty, bad curriculums, lazy teachers, and lack of encouragement. Lack of encouragement could come from anybody, from their parents, from their friends, family. They just need that encouragement. These kids, they just need this encouragement. Aaron Gruelle from the Freedom Writers said, "Society just doesn't care about young people anymore, even if they are the future, even if we are the future." In the film Waiting for Superman, it says that because of where you live, you are forced to get less of a sufficient education. An article about why poor kids get left behind states that children from low-income families have higher stress levels caused by family poverty. These kids are influenced by crime, drugs, and violence around their neighborhoods, and there are fewer adults with professional careers to act as their role models. All these can play a negative influence on the schools. So, for instance, if a kid has parents that that drink or that don't pay attention to them, don't get to spend too much time with them, like studying or something, or encouraging them, what's gonna happen? Eventually, these kids are gonna do bad things, or they're not gonna focus in school like they should be doing. But one solution may be that they seek help from professionals. There's always help out there. The second idea to avoid shutting down the school is to invest more money on them. According to the U.S. Department of Education, Many low-performing schools have limited resources and insufficient facilities and supplies, and are unable to employ fewer qualified teachers. In other words, they can afford to have better teachers. Or sometimes these teachers may have little experience, and that really affects the students. More than ever before, companies hire where the talent is, Obama said. Over the next 10 years, nearly half of all the new jobs will require education past a high school degree. The president noted that we're in a difficult fiscal situation, but the country can cut back on investments like education, which will help us grow our economy, he said. When we sacrifice our commitment to education, we're sacrificing our future. Another way to invest on the school is using the turnaround model. This is when the school district replaces the principal and at least half of the school staff and adopts a new instructional program for the school. So basically they start all over again. They get a new principal and they just get a new system going on in the school. That's another good solution that can happen. Lastly, shutting down a low-performing school can also affect other successful schools around. For example, it could create chaos. For example, overcrowding. People argue that even if schools do shut down, students end up failing anyways. So why not just keep the school open and help it become better? So what's the point of closing down the school? Just keep it open, get better teachers, and just make it better, improve it. Jennifer Cush, a sophomore at Roberto Clemente High School, said, "You need to talk to us when you want to close schools," Cush said. Education is lost when students are shipped like we are not worth working with. In conclusion, more effort should be put on the students instead of just closing the schools. That simply shows that society has given up on these schools, and that gives the affected students a low morale and a low moral, and puts down their effort for trying and looking forward for a higher education. So there should be hope. There should always be hope. And closing the school will only make the situation worse. And that's why low-performing schools should not be shut down. Thank you.